Can we? Okay. Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Please, yeah, Imam, can you introduce yourself?
My name is Mahmood A.Al-Mustapha, the Chief Imam Nile University.
Sir, the question I have for you today is how do I relate with non-Muslims in my family?
Oh, this is a wonderful question because life has its way of reflecting on someone. Why I perceive it right question is because of the situation we get ourselves. You may find yourself in the midst of a family whereby someone is Muslim and someone is non-Muslim, and some other times you might see that someone will convert to Islam, and after his conversion he has to continue relating with the members of the family. So in this case, taking your question in this vein, how to relate with a non-Muslim in your family is very important. Islamically, we have do's and don'ts. If I say do's and don'ts, it's like in this aspect we're going to consider the two perspectives. There is do's and don'ts with regards to this question, meaning the possibility or permissibility for one to relate with non-Muslim in his family is actually permissible, because Islam as a religion covers and encompasses every aspect of human endeavor. There is nothing you think of which you will not find it in Islam. So with regards to this, Muslim is someone that always has to consider himself as a figure to be imitated. According to one Imam that is called bin Baz, Abdullah bin Baz, he was faced with this kind of question, and he answered to the people saying that the do's that every Muslim has to consider with regards to his relationship with non-Muslim, either being a member of the family or non-member of his family, it has do's or it has restrictions. Meaning, he started mentioning, he said the first one is like for everyone to consider himself a figure of dawah. That whenever you relate with non-Muslim, you need to consider or have at the back of your mind that you are relating them to, post into them da'wah. Al-amru bil ma'ruf wa nahyu anil munkar. Especially with regards to calling to Islam. When you relate with non-Muslim, for instance, be he a member of your family and he's not Muslim, Islam says you relate with him. But the first thing you're going to consider is the issue of da'wah. Trying to convince him, trying to call him upon the right path, because if there is anything, if there is any right or anything good that you think you're going to call upon your brother to join, is Islam. Right? Islam is the first thing. Whenever you wish for your brother, be he you member of your family or non-member of the family and he's not Muslim, what you always consider is trying to tell him to send the messages of Islam into his mind, to convey the message of Islam into his mind in a better way. That is why Allah says, Udu ila sabili rabbika bil hikmah wal mau'izatil hasana. Trying to extend the message is not that you're going to send the message anyhow. You relate with them. Sometimes you have to dash them something, a gift. Sometimes you have to play a video that will show them the beauty of Islam. Sometimes you have to preach. You have to tell them how good is Islam. Sometimes it's through even your characters. You show them how good is Islam through your characters. So these are the major things that you need to consider when you relate with non-Muslim, especially be he a member of your family. Ud'u ila sabili rabbik bil hikmah wal mau'izati. So Malam says here, the first thing that is on you is to consider yourself as a figure of da'wah, that you are relating him to send the messages of Islam for him to convey or to convert to Islam, a da'wah. Second thing is not that you not disassociate yourself from him. Whenever he invites you upon a function, you attend it. When he is into like he needs someone to advise him, you advise him in a good way. When he needs your help, you go there to help him. You relate with him. Being not a Muslim doesn't mean that you disassociate yourself from him. You associate yourself with him. By virtue of your association with him, makes him understand the beauty of Islam, and that attracts him towards reverting or converting to Islam. So this is one of the things that Imam considered. Thirdly, he says there are some don'ts with regards to this question, meaning a place where you should not reach, a gap, or a line where you should not cross as a Muslim. For instance, this your brother, he's a family member, and maybe it comes a time of Christmas and they are inviting you to go and join them in the church or something like that. Will you go? Say no. Why won't you go? Because so long as you do not accept their religion, way of their religion, you should not also go any of the function, attend any of their functions. Why? Because you do not believe in it. So they say these are part of the don'ts. You must have to, disassociate yourself from any function they ask you to engage yourself in. So long as it's called their religious function, you'll not go there. Whenever they ask you to take something that is haram, is not allowed Islamically, you should not take it. They ask you to join them in doing something wrong, you not join them. So you only associate yourself with them in a way that is good Islamically. You understand? Mentioning a verse in this vein is very important. There is one verse in the Holy Quran which expatiated this a great deal. He said, وَوَصَّيْنَا الْإِنسَانَ بِوَالِدَيْهِ حُسْنًا حَمَلَتْهُ أُمُّهُ كُرْهًا وَوَضَعَتْهُ كُرْهًا وَحَمْلُهُ وَفِصَالُهُ 30 شهرًا. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala enjoined a man, enjoined you and I upon what? Being dutiful to our parents. Meaning, for instance, now you have a parent that is non-Muslim. How will you relate with him? He is not Muslim, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned in the Holy Quran that you should be dutiful to the parent. And scholars said being dutiful to parents is actually talking about regardless of either he being Muslim or non-Muslim. So being dutiful to your parents doesn't mean that they must have to be Muslim before you are dutiful to them. So you're dutiful to them. And he says, وَإِن جَاهَدَاكَ عَلَىٰ أَن تُشْرِكَ بِي مَا لَيْسَ لَكَ بِهِ عِلْمٌ فَلَا تُطِعْهُمَا. He brings out the what? The don'ts. The line you should not breach. The line you should not cross. He said, وَإِن جَاهَدَاكَ. When they strive hard to call you, joining them in the worship of someone other than Allah, or attaching a worship, ascribing a worship to the worship of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, ascribing a partner to the worship of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then you should not obey them. These are the don'ts. He brings out the do's and he brings out the what? The don'ts. Then you are to obey them. If they are your parents, you obey them, you associate them, you do whatever that is good with them, you love them, you cherish them, but remember, mind you, you are always trying to instigate them, to influence them towards your religion. And in the don'ts, remember, there are some things, certain things you should not cross. Don't go to their function. Don't eat what is not belong to a Muslim. For instance, something that is not allowed for a Muslim to take, you should not take it. They should not invite you to a function that is, backing their religion. You should not go. And when they ask you to join them in disassociating or associating, a partner in the worship of Allah, you should also not obey them. And concisely, let me make it in a nutshell. This ayah actually explains an overview of how a Muslim should relate with non-Muslim. Since it takes the perspective of what? Being a parent. For instance, if you have a parent, this is how Islam asks you to do, this is how Islam asks you not to do, what Islam asks you not to do. So if you take it and weigh it, take it as a scale to measure whoever else you're going to meet in the life, either being a member of the family or non-member of the family that is not Muslim, this is how you relate with them. Obey them in a good way, relate them in a good way, advise them in a good way, mingle with them in a good way. But when it comes to bridging the gap, transcending the value of Islam, you are not there, even if they are your parents. This is a brief about what you are asking, inshallah.
Jazakallah khairan.